Hello everyone, welcome back to Think Outside the Board and the first edition of the Crowdfunding Roundup for August 2023. In this video series, I look at everything that launched on crowdfunding for a week-long period, Wednesday to a Tuesday. So I finished that with Tuesday, which is the big launch day for board games. That way I'm as close to that day as possible. The period that I'm covering in this video is August 2nd to the 8th. And I have 6 different campaigns that I've picked from everything that launched in that period. 5 of them are on Kickstarter, 1's on Gamefound. There are links to everything in the description section. So if, as we go through this video, if there's a particular campaign that's of specific interest to you, rather than going and hunting for that campaign, you can just go into the description section, click on the link, and it will take you right there. My videos are also bookmarked, as always, so you can just scroll over the play bar and go right to whatever specific content that you're looking for. The best way to support this channel is still to like and subscribe. And if you're someone who's not that interested in crowdfunding content, but you do like the channel and you do like me, just know that I'll be launching 2 new types of content later in the year, probably one in October, and then the second one somewhere between October and December. One of those things is revamped teach and review videos with new camera equipment, new lighting, so it's going to look a lot better than my previous stuff I was doing a couple years ago. And the other thing is live streaming of games, everything from medium light strategy games to heavy Euros, campaign and legacy games, dungeon crawlers, narrative exploration games, and solo games. So you may still want to subscribe anyway, and that way you'll be in the loop when those types of content launch. Without any further ado, let's get started looking at the 6 campaigns we'll be covering today. And the first of these is a game called Tiny Laser Heist. Now, this campaign launched on August the 2nd. They are actually the biggest multiplier of the period, of all of the campaigns that we're looking at. Because they only had a funding goal of $10,000, they're currently $104,000, so their multiplier is 10 plus multiplier. They're doing really well for the size of this campaign. This is, as you can probably guess just looking from the still, a dexterity game, which means it's a light complexity, and this is a newer publisher. They've only crowdfunded 1 game before. It was called Abduction, so the risk is a little bit higher here than with some other campaigns. They're still fairly new to the game. Now, let's take a look at the video, and we'll come back and look at the 2 different pledges.
We're Evan and Josh, and this is Tiny Laser Heist. We make some other games like Ransom Notes and Abduction. But to us, heists are the ultimate game. From daring missions to plans just crazy enough to work, we think they're awesome. That's why we made Tiny Laser Heist, a 3D heist game where you out-negotiate your opponents and steal stuff with tiny hands. When designing this game, we quickly realized that to do this right, it needed to be a lot more than just cards and a board. So, you'll be robbing jewels from a 3-dimensional miniature museum. They're guarded by stacks of color-coded padlocks, and you'll need the right keys to unlock them. Also, there's a bunch of lasers. Try not to set them off. Tiny Laser Heist is a lot more than just dexterity. Winning requires expert planning, negotiation, and deceiving your opponents. Each round, a new person is the mastermind, and they'll recruit their heist team based on the skill cards they have and negotiate what cut of the heist they're willing to work for. Harder heists are worth more money, but no one gets paid if you fail. Whoever walks away with the most cash at the end wins. You'll have 90 seconds to pull off your heist. If the time runs out, you can't stack the padlocks, or you trigger a laser, your mission fails. After each successful heist, more padlocks and lasers get added, meaning the heist reward gets bigger, but the game gets harder. And you're down. Okay, good. Watch your hand coming out. Watch your hand coming out.
Hi, we're Evan and Josh.
Normally, a game like Tiny Laser Heist wouldn't get made. It's too big, and the components are too loud.
But after making 5 games over the last several years, we've really started to believe that tabletop games can be way more than just cards and dice.
We got the right plan to make this happen, and almost have the full team we need to pull this off. We're just missing one critical person. You.
So, are you in?
Too big, and the game is too late. This wouldn't get me. Sorry.
All right, so that is Tiny Laser Heist. If we scroll down the page here, we can see, yeah, they've done one Kickstarter before. That was for Abduction. They've produced a few other games as well. And if we scroll down a little further, we can see the 2 pledges. So there's this Tiny Laser Heist base game. This is $50, and they're doing free shipping for everyone in the continental US. So that means that this is still a $50 pledge in the continental US. There still will be shipping to Australia, Europe, New Zealand, and Canada. And then this is the second pledge, which also includes the full expansion. This is $75, so if you're in the US, it is still $75 including shipping. And if we want to see what that expansion is, we can scroll down over here. And here is that double cross expansion that's going to be included in the higher pledge price. And if we look over here, we can see that they're intending to deliver this game in June of 2024. So that's our first campaign, Tiny Laser Heist. It's a light dexterity game on Kickstarter. From there, we're going to Fighting Fantasy Adventures. This is on Gamefound, and this recently had a campaign on Kickstarter, and it wasn't looking like it was going to fund, so they canceled it. They've relaunched it on Gamefound, and it's doing much better over here. So they had a funding goal of $30,000, $73,000 right now, so they are funded as well. This campaign launched on August the 7th, and it's going to complete, the campaign will end on August the 30th. Well, I should mention Tiny Laser Heist, their campaign is ending on September the 1st. So this is designed by Martin Wallace. He is one of my favorite designers, and he's designed a whole range of games. The Brass games, Age of Steam, Railways of the World, more recently Anno 1800, Australia. He did Struggle of Empires, Tinner's Trail, and Wildlands. And there's a huge range of gameplay in there. The Brass games are very, very heavy Euros. Wildlands is sort of a lighter card-based fighting game. He's done some train games. Australia's kind of a train game. Railways of the World and Age of Steam definitely are. Struggle of Empires is kind of a 4X game, and Tinner's Trail is a Euro, but it is lighter than the Brass games. So with this campaign here, there are these classic adventure books that were around in the 80s, and they're sort of like choose your own adventure type books, but you would go through them and make your choices. You might die just automatically, but it's kind of a puzzle that you go through, and you're trying to figure out how to get to the end of the adventure or what turns to take. I suppose in that sense, it's a lot like a board game version of the old Dragon's Lair video games, where you'd have to figure out the pathway through. So a lot of this is, it's limited plays per book. You might have a few plays, but once you know how to get to the end, you're probably done. And until you put it away long enough that you can go back to it years later and not remember what was happening. So there are several different books that are involved in this. It's kind of a system, and if it does well, there will be more of the books adapted later, since each book has somewhat limited gameplay to it. So Martin Wallace has taken these old books, he's gamified them, made them into a game that you can play with multiple people. Let's watch the video here.
In 1982, Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone launched a series of books that introduced a generation to the joys of solo fantasy role-playing. Now, Martin Wallace has created a new system to allow you to enjoy these iconic adventures with your friends. The Fighting Fantasy Adventures. Your group of heroes are faced with a series of increasingly dangerous missions. Each new room in the dungeon brings a new challenge or foe. The matching encounter card tells you what you need to do and what your options are. As you explore, you build up a map of the dungeon and collect items and information. If you complete an adventure, then your heroes gain new abilities. As a group, you must choose carefully what you wish to do, as deadly dangers may lie just around the corner.
That was a lot of fun. It was great interacting with everyone and figuring out how to get places, strategizing.
It's actually very friendly for both beginners and experienced players.
Captured the feeling of you die for no reason from the original Fighting Fantasy books.
Originally, the books you'd be reading by yourself, and the fun was in turning the page and seeing what happens next. And in this, you're playing it as a group and enjoying it with other people, and you're all having that same enjoyment of finding out what happens next.
We've just spent a few hours playing the game, and it seems like we just started a couple of minutes ago. It's just amazing.
Are you ready for fighting fantasy adventures?
Okay, so that gave you more of a look at the game and kind of how it's going to work behind the scenes. Now, here are all the different rewards that they have. Now, there really are a total of 3 pledges for this at this time. There's this treasure chest, right? That's the first pledge I mentioned, $35 plus $5 shipping in the continental US, so $40 total. This is just a pledge manager pledge. It will get you into the pledge manager so that you could pledge later. They do have some VAT-friendly options. So if you're in a country where you're going to need to be paying a VAT, you can pledge at the VAT-friendly rate. So I kind of consider this, an alternate to this treasure chest pledge. It's the same content. It's just if you're somewhere where there's a VAT. So the second level pledge here is Zagger's Loot. And this is a bundle that's going to contain the core pledge and some add-ons. And if we look down in here, we can see that this is the collector's edition dice and bag, a metal party marker, the journal with some history of fighting fantasy, and some character sheets. All right, and then they have a VAT-friendly version of that. And then there's this Minotaur's Hoard, which is essentially if you're pledging with people, it's 4 times the Zagger's Loot. So you're just getting enough for 4 people. You could be doing that if a bunch of friends are pooling together, or if you intend to try to sell them secondhand later, if you're a game store, whatever. And if we look down here, here are the add-ons that are mentioned in that Zagger's Loot pledge. But if you didn't want all of these, you could just pledge for the first pledge and then add on whichever things you do want. So the metal party marker, kind of a first player marker, that's $7.50 as an add-on. The collector's edition dice and bag is $15. The collector's edition journal with the history of fighting fantasy is $7.50, and a pad of character sheets are $5. Now, if we go back into the pledges here, we can see that they are planning on delivering this in December 2024. So, that's almost a year and a half out. And it's a relatively simple game, it seems like it, production-wise. So you might be assuming it's coming sooner. So this is just kind of wouldn't say a warning, but a notification that it's not going to be coming sooner. That's not December 2023. This is a year plus out for delivery. And this is the sole project that we're looking at today that is on Gamefound. So from there we go back to Kickstarter. This is for Small City Deluxe Edition Spring and Summer expansions. As you can see, I've already pledged this one. And this is a pair of expansions for Albin Viard's game Small City. Now, he had produced this as well as Clinic previously. And then within the last several years, he's done new deluxe versions of these games. The Clinic series he did with artist Ian O'Toole, amazing artist, and he's now done with that. But he's now kind of working on doing deluxe versions of Small City. And for this series, he's working with Kwanshai Maria, amazing artist, another amazing artist. You may know his art from the Catacombs series, Cryptid, Dinosaur Island, In the Hall of the Mountain King, Pret-a-Porter 3rd edition, Sidereal Confluence, the newest edition, and Under Falling Skies. He has a very, very unique, notable art style, which you'll see as we look at some of the components. So Small City Deluxe came out in 2023. And these are 2 new expansions for this, but there is the opportunity here, if you don't have the new deluxe edition, to get that as well. We can see that this is a $29,000 minimum here, their funding goal. They're currently at $40,000, so they're funded, they're doing well, and they've got 20 days left to go on this campaign. It's going to end on August the 31st. Now, this campaign launched on August the 7th, and we're not going to watch the video because it's a very, very short video and it doesn't really show you very much. But we are going to go down here and look through just the components and things like that, so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And this is very much, it's not based on a computer simulator like SimCity or something like that, but it's a board game version of that kind of game. So it's not a direct adaptation of any IP, but it is sort of like a board game version of SimCity. And, the same kind of design style that Alban VR designed Clinic with, which means you're going to have worker placement and tile placement and things like that. So here is what the game looks like and the art. Let's go down a little bit further. Previously, there was the base game and 1 expansion. I believe that was the winter expansion. Let's see if we can go down a little bit further. Yeah, and so now they're doing spring and summer. Those are the 2 new expansions. And they kind of list all the components that are in each of these expansions. There's no fall expansion yet. I don't know if that's going to be coming in a future Kickstarter or if the base game is kind of like taking place in fall. I guess the future will reveal that. But for now, there's the base game and there's the previous winter expansion and the new spring and summer expansions. So let's go down and look at this. This is the one that I got, but we'll come back to that. This is just a pledge manager pledge to get you into the pledge manager. This is the first real pledge here. So it's $44. In the continental US, there's $15 shipping with this. So it'll bring the total to $59. And that's just going to include one of these expansions. So you're going to pick which one you want when you get further along in making this pledge. It's called the Teacher. So you have your choice. Now, if you want both of these, then you're going to do the pledge that I did, right? Which is right here. It's the $84 pledge. It's called the Worker, and that's going to include both of the new expansions. And the shipping cost for this is also $15, so there's a total of $99 in the continental US if you're doing the Worker pledge. Now, still, that's only the 2 new expansions. If you don't have the base game and you want to get everything, you can pledge at this mayor level. So that'll give you the base game, the older winter expansion, and the 2 new spring and summer expansions. This is a $174 pledge in the continental US. There's $25 in shipping on this, so it brings the total to $199. Now, let's say you don't want everything. Let's say you don't want the winter expansion or even of the 2 new expansions. You could go in and do that base pledge just to get into the pledge manager, and then you could add on the base game. So there is an opportunity here just to get the base game as an add-on. You can also get just the winter expansion as an add-on. I mean, you can do both, but there are options to do either one of these, so that way you're not stuck in with that pledge where you get everything, the all-in only. You could back both of the new expansions or one of the new expansions and add on the base game. So there's ways to kind of mix and match and get exactly what you want. But the base game is $69 as an add-on, and the winter expansion is $39 as an add-on. And if we look down here, we can see that they're planning to deliver this project in May of 2024. Next on our list is Ascendancy, and this is the project that has done the most money overall of the week. It's a little bit behind on Tiny Laser Heist in terms of multiplier, just because Tiny Laser Heist had a funding goal that was half. So half of this, it was a $10,000 funding goal, theirs is 20. But they're almost there. They're almost to a 10 plus multiplier. They're just a little bit underneath it. So this campaign launched on August 8th. That was this past Tuesday, and the other campaigns that we're going to be looking at later in the video also were August 8th launches. And this campaign will run until August the 31st. So this is a new 4X game, and this might be the riskiest campaign of the video, simply because it's new. Like, everything that is being done is new. For the designers here, this is their first published game. For the artists, this is their first published game. For the publisher, this is their first published game. And this is their first time running a crowdfunding campaign. So the first campaign that we looked at, Tiny Laser Heist, they've produced a few games and run one Kickstarter. They don't have as much experience as some bigger publishers, but at least they've made some games. At least they've done a crowdfunding campaign before. And I also think that even though Tiny Laser Heist does have some plastic pieces, this is a bigger thing to produce with a lot more moving pieces, literally. So this is kind of an expensive thing. At the same time, I think this game looks really cool, and I am considering backing this one. So you should know, though, that there is higher risk inherent with this just because everyone involved is doing this for the first time. But their campaign is doing really well so far. So let's take a look at this video. The board and the gameplay reminds me a little bit of Vindication, if you're familiar with Vindication, but kind of throwing in all 4X elements, because Vindication definitely doesn't have kind of person-to-person combat. So we'll watch this video and then we'll take a look at the 4 various pledges that you could choose if you decide to back this one.
Welcome to the realm of Ascendancy, young master. My name is Belfry, trusted advisor to the royal families. Tell me, of which house is your noble blood? Your Grace, a most formidable ancestry. A familiar fire burns in your eyes, just as it did with your great father. His legacy traits you have inherited. But whatever happens to your family, Your Grace, they must be avenged. Will you go it alone, as cooperative allies, or will it be every man for himself? Will your objective be easy, or a greater challenge? Are you prepared, Your Grace? Then it is time for your Ascendancy. Discover an atlas of your own design as you travel the map, overcome challenges, claiming riches and expanding your area of control. Place your workers across each of the 4 districts. Explore, exploit, expand, and exterminate. Ascend your followers. Higher-ranking subjects may oust and replace your rivals. Expand your kingdom using a personalized tech tree with many branching possibilities. Savage creatures lie in wait, Your Grace. When violence is inevitable, knowing when to manage risk and when to push your luck will reap the greatest rewards. Your champion is ready to ascend. Complete quests, marry well, and take on the ultimate adversaries. Infinite adventures await you in the realm of Ascendancy.
They're definitely doing a lot with this gameplay mode-wise, right? So you've got solo, you've got competitive, you've got cooperative, they've got that scenario book with a lot of kind of mix and match of variables. So there is a lot of replayability and variability built into the system. And let's go ahead and look at the various pledges. So this is just to get into the pledge manager, and then you can make your decisions later. This is the core game pledge, so $97 for this. This is rather expensive shipping, which could be a good thing because that means that they're anticipating for things down the line. So hopefully that means there won't be problems later with shipping. They've already budgeted a lot towards that. So for this pledge level in the continental US, you're looking at $29 shipping. It's going to raise this total pledge price to $126. And I'm just going to scroll down here on the left to give you a look at some of the components and assets from the game here. And I'm just going to do that until we catch back up with the pledges on the left half of the page. So I think it looks really neat. I would call it Vindication 4X. or 4X Vindication, which is not a bad thing because Vindication is a great game. And I like some of what they're doing here with the miniatures. It's pretty neat. All right, here we go. There's that core pledge. And here are the next two pledges. And these have the same pledge point, or the price point. So both of these next two pledges are $157. In the continental US, they have $33 of shipping attached, so that will bring the pledge total to $190. And they've kind of separated this in half. So one pledge gets you all of the upgrades, and the other pledge gets you all of the minis. So if you do either one of these pledges, you're choosing which kind of things you want to be added on. And then when we get to the fourth pledge, it gives you everything. It gives you all the stuff that's in either one of these. So the first one here is the premium minis bundle, and that is this one, what you're looking at over here. So it's going to include 15 pieces of these capital stacking settlements, which I think look really neat, 12 champions, minis, 3 bosses, and additional stretch goal stuff. That's this pledge. If we go down to the third pledge, which is the same price point, also $33 in shipping, also a total of $190 in the continental US, that is this one. And that's going to get you this dice tower, the playmat, some combat dice, metal coins, and card sleeves. So you might be the kind of person that really likes minis, who doesn't need all of these kind of quality of life gameplay upgrades, and you just might want the minis. On the other hand, you might like the quality of life upgrades and not really care about the minis, so you can make your choice here. If you're the kind of gamer who wants all of those things, you want to go for this all-in pledge. That's going to include everything from both of those. Now, the pledge price for this one is $197. This has $37 of shipping in the continental US, so it's a total pledge price, including shipping in the continental US, of $234. And that'll get you this, big deluxe box to hold everything, plus everything in the quality of life upgrades, everything in the mini upgrade box. So that's your everything. And I'm not sure if there's add-ons. You really shouldn't need them. You should just be able to kind of back whatever you want through the pledge prices. And I guess they're not splitting that up, right? So you can't get like just the sleeves or something like that. You have to get all of the quality of life upgrades, or all of the minis, or both. Just to double check that, let's click on the details, just to make sure that they're not an option here. So if you're looking here, right, you see everything that's included, and there's no way to add on more stuff. So it's not broken out. And if we look at the cheaper pledges, nothing's broken out either, right? So you're not doing add-ons, you're just choosing your pledge. And Ascendancy is, right now, they're targeting July 2024 as the delivery date for this. So about a year for this to deliver, assuming all goes well. Our fifth campaign of the week is for a game called Mistwind. Now this one had a funding goal of almost $30,000, but they're $170,000, so they're funded, this is happening, and the campaign is going to run until August the 31st. Now, this is from the designers of Sagrada, and it's being published by First Fish Games. They've done a couple of other Kickstarters, published a couple of other games before. One of them is called Ducks in Tow, which is a very cute, simple kind of movement and set collection game. And then they did a tableau building game called Town Builder Couverden, I think. Not quite sure how to pronounce that name. It's the name of a town, Couverden. So if I mangled that pronunciation, apologies. But those are their two games that they've done previously, and neither one is really as ambitious as this one. So they are kind of heading into a different league as a publisher with this game. We'll take a look at the video here, and then we'll look at the pledges. But this is a worker placement hand management game.
In the newly explored frontiers of the Mistwind Islands, bustling cities are filled with hardworking townsfolk, from fungus farmers to deep mist divers. Transport whales are seen soaring above the thick mist, transporting citizens and cargo from port to port. Mistwind is growing rapidly, and our leaders are looking to connect with neighboring nations to expand trade networks that will be beneficial for many years to come. You are the head of a trading company with a chance to make a name for yourself. You've trained your transport whales well, and now you need to gather resources to build your outposts and maximize your network efficiency while keeping up with the supply and demands of the local capitals. Mistwind is a strategic game of building networks and meeting the demands of each nation. Players will gain resources to build outposts or train transport whales, gather and deliver cargo to fulfill territory demands, and complete networking contracts with neighboring nations. Your goal is to become the most trusted trader in Mistwind. Can you lead your company to victory?
Now, pledge-wise, this is a pretty simple campaign. There's basically one pledge. So you're going to decide if you want this game or not, and if you are, then you're going to pledge the one pledge that they have. And I think this looks really cool. I like the minis that they have here. The components look really nice, and it seems like it's going to be sort of a medium light. In addition to worker placement and hand management, maybe pick up and deliver, and set collection. So here is the main pledge here. $96 in US monies, and in the continental US you're going to be looking at $20 in shipping, so this will be a total of $116. Now there is one add-on you can get, which is a plushie. So if you want the plushie, you'll just have to add that on. It's $23, and we can see that they are planning on delivering this in May of 2024, so if all goes well, it will be in your hands in less than a year. There's another look at the board there, and just kind of detailing what is going to be in the box here. I don't know if I'll be backing this one myself, just because it looks like maybe a bit lighter than the games I'm trying to acquire into my collection now, but I'm definitely appreciating the production value, and I think if you're looking for maybe something in the medium light range that kind of combines these sorts of mechanics, this looks like it'll be a pretty well-made, fun experience. Okay, so that is Mistwind. And that brings us to our final campaign of the video of the week. It's Thunderstone Quest Uncharted Waters by AEG. This one also had a launch date of August the 8th, and there's only 7 days left on this campaign. It's a shorter campaign because it's really just for a couple smaller expansions for Thunderstone Quest. Now, Thunderstone Quest is one of my two favorite deck builders, the other one being Aeon's End. I just think it's fantastic. And there's a big board for it, or you can get a playmat, and you're going to be taking your adventures and going down into a dungeon to get rewards, do quests. But the dungeon setup, it's not a dungeon crawler. There are just these tiles that you put on the board. They're sort of randomized, and they determine some of that gameplay of going down into the dungeon to achieve certain things. So the tiles that go on that board are different for different quests. So every time you get a new quest, and this one they're up to quest 14 and 15, you're getting some new cards and some new tiles, and it's kind of like that quest has a theme to it. And then if you really wanted to, you could mix and match some of those assets with the rest of the game. This is designed by Mike Elliott. He's best known for all of the various Thunderstones. There's been Thunderstone was the first one. Then they did Thunderstone Advanced. That was kind of like the second edition. And the kind of third edition is now Thunderstone Quest. And this is the only one that's still being made and printed. The only one that they're still creating new things for. The other two versions, you'd have to go and look at the secondhand market if you wanted to find those. So Mike Elliott has also done a dice game called Quarriors, which then evolved into the Dice Masters games, and he's also designed Dragonfire and Shadowrun Crossfire, which are deck building games in a D&D universe or in the Shadowrun universe. So that's what he is best known for. AEG is just, they've published so many good games, but their top 5 on Board Game Geek in terms of ranking are Calico, Cascadia, Istanbul, Space Base, and War Chest. But a great, well-known publisher that you should have a lot of confidence in backing. So let's take a look at this video, and then we'll come back and we'll look at the 2 pledges and the 5 add-ons.
Pirates, cannibals, and ancient curses await you on the high seas and forgotten islands of Uncharted Waters. Uncharted Waters contains 2 all-new quests for Mike Elliott's classic deck-building game, Thunderstone Quest. In Raging Seas, the infamous pirate Captain Faring is cutting a bloody swath through the shipping lanes near Thunderstone Keep. Together with her crew of bloodthirsty raiders, she seeks to unleash a new terror upon all those who sailed the Great Sea. Gather a crew of heroes who can steer a ship, fire a cannon, and protect your vessel from the worst the sea has to offer. Set sail for danger, plot a course for adventure and long-lost riches. But beware, for the sea does not give up its secrets or its treasures without a fight. Raging Seas features brand new voyage cards that turn your journeys from island to island into exciting sea adventures. In Ancient Adversaries, at the heart of a lost island lies an ancient volcanic creature that even now stirs in its slumber. With each day that passes, it grows more restless, putting the island and the rest of the Great Sea in danger. The sacred totems used to pacify the great beast lie in the hands of the island's warring tribes. These cruel barbarians would rather destroy each other and your champion than give up their totems. It's up to your heroes to locate and seize the totems, then battle their way to the flaming core of the island. Here they must face the fiery creature about to wreak havoc on the world. Thunderstone Quest is Mike Elliott's award-winning deck-building game of adventure and dungeon delving. Each quest has its own story and mechanical twists, but similar core rules so players can jump right into the action. If you're new to Thunderstone Quest, we have made it easier than ever to get into the game with our newly reformatted starter box. Just pick up the starter box and add as many or as few quests as you want when you fill out the pledge manager. And soon, you'll see why Thunderstone Quest is one of the best-selling deck builders of all time. If you're already a fan, pick up the new quests and continue your adventure. Back Thunderstone Quest now.
So when they first launched this game on crowdfunding, it was a bigger box and it included more quests. And if you've backed everything, you may end up getting 2 to 3 kind of big boxes worth of stuff. But I don't know, maybe it's overwhelming to look at, so they've kind of pared it back, and now they're offering the smaller starter set. So you can't get that huge original box, but you can get the starter set. You can add on all of the quests, kind of one at a time, and you can even add on the bigger storage boxes if you get so much content that you need more space. So, but that's all done through the add-ons. So if we're looking at the pledges, you've got this one, and again, I'm a huge Thunderstone Quest, so this is the one that I've backed. This is $60, but we're gonna come back to this because the cheaper pledge is this one, which is the starter set. So if you don't have Thunderstone Quest at all, if you're looking to get into it, this is where you wanna begin. And this is a $50 pledge. There is $20 of shipping on this in the continental US. What's interesting is that this pledge, which is more expensive, actually has less shipping because it's less volume. So, I don't know, it's kind of curious, right? It's these smaller things. So the pledge is higher, the shipping is lower. But for the starter set in the continental US, $20 in shipping, it's going to bring this pledge to a $70 total. And it's going to come with quest number 1, A Mirror in the Dark, but that's it. And also, if you wanted to sleeve this content, you'd need 2 packs of premium sleeves to sleeve everything in the base game and that first quest. Okay, so continental US with shipping, $70. For this one, it's a $60 pledge, but it's not as heavy. So this has $13 in shipping, continental US, which means that the total pledge price here with shipping in the continental US is $73. So it's only $3 more than that other pledge. Also, this is going to deliver in July of 2024. First is a look at what is in the base game, right? This is the $50 pledge. So you're gonna get the game box, you get the player boards, you get all of the the base game cards, you get the player meeples, wooden tokens, village game board, wilderness tile, 5 6-sided dice, the rulebook, and dividers. In the original Kickstarter version of the game, it did come with some miniatures and some other quality of life upgrades, but it looks like they're kind of paring things back and they're just giving you this other version with meeples only. Maybe missing a few of the extras and stretch goals from the original campaign, but you can still get everything to be able to play it. And then also you're getting that first quest, A Mirror in the Dark, 324 more cards, dungeon room tiles. You get these for every quest because they're specific to that quest. Some dividers so that you can, kind of divide your cards within the box. Randomizers, guardian board. Now, if you're wanting to add stuff on, go past what's coming in these 2 quests, the new quests, you can get previous quests $40 each, and there are a lot of them. We are up to, I think it was 14 and 15. If you get the starter set, that's comes with 1, which means there is 2 through, I think it's 13, or there'd be a total of 12 more quests. So if you were getting all 12 of these, 6, 7, 8, yeah, all 12 of them, that would be $480 to add on all 12 quests. And there is a solo and co-op mode. So normally when you're playing Thunderstone Quest, it's a competitive game. But if you want the solo or co-op mode, that's $35 as an add-on. There's also premium card sleeves. So it's $15 for a pack of 500. Depending on what you're getting, this is a deck builder, so there are a lot of cards, and also I think it's really good to sleeve deck builders because you're constantly cycling through those cards. They get a lot of wear, but depending on how many quests you're backing, you're going to need to look at the card counts and then pledge for the appropriate number of sleeves. There's also a neoprene playmat, so if you want this instead of the board that comes with the base game, you can add on the neoprene playmat for $28. Then there's also storage boxes, which they say holds up to about 5 quests worth of cards. So you could get these bigger storage boxes, $20 per box. And then this is just kind of a look at what you might want, right? If you haven't played it before, you probably want to get the starter set with quest 1. If you're a veteran, you may just need the new quests, 14 and 15. And then they're just kind of laying it out again here, all in one little area. So you've got your quests 2 through 13, $40 each. You got the barricades mode for $35, the storage box, the neoprene playmat, and the sleeves. And again, they're targeting July of 2024 to deliver this. So hopefully, if all goes according to plan, this will be in your hands in about a year. That brings us to the end of the video. We covered 6 different campaigns that launched in the last week. August is looking like it's going to be a fairly thin month for crowdfunding. So there are only 2 games right now that I know of that I'm planning on covering in next week's video. One of them already launched. It's a new card-based dungeon crawler from Tristan Hall and Hull or Nothing Games. It's called Creel Manor. And then I know on Tuesday, Inside Up Games, who recently did a campaign for a game called Terminus. They've recently delivered a game called Earth, which is doing really, really well. People seem to be loving that one. You can also play it on Board Game Arena. They have a new campaign coming up for a game called Perch, which I think is a little bit on the smaller side compared with something like Earth or Terminus, but I'm not sure. And I'm pretty sure that I will be covering Perch in next week's video as well. I think that Inside Up Games is a great company, and they've always made good games, but the quality of games that they're putting out now is seemingly improving with every campaign. So likely in next week's video, I'll be including Creel Manor and Perch, and then whatever else I pick, from Tuesday's launch. Thank you for spending some time with me and going over my picks from this most recent week of crowdfunding. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, you could do that now. And have a great week. Play lots of great games. I've been playing some Arc Nova lately. I just played Lacrimosa for the first time, and I'm hoping to get together with friends during the week and maybe play a couple new games that I haven't played yet. Join me in a week for another look at crowdfunding, which will likely include Creel Manor, Perch, and more. And until then, take care.